What's the best gear for a beginner backpacker if you want to stay safe, be comfortable, and have fun? Do you go to REI or your local store and just get everything that the salesperson tells you, or do you just get whatever a friend tells you to? I've tested tons and tons of gear over the years, and I put together a gear list that I think is perfect for beginner backpackers. It has a great balance of price, comfort, ease of use, and weight. And I think it's a better list of gear than you'd get from recommendations at a store or even most of your friends. Starting off with the big three, which consists of your pack, your tent, and your sleep system. The pack that I recommend is the REI Flash 55. This pack is very lightweight, weighing just over 1.2 kilograms. It's also really well priced. It costs $200 regular price, but you can get it on sale for about $140 to $160 quite often. It also carries weight really well, so if you're still trying to dial in your pack and you have a pack that weighs 30 or 40 pounds, the REI Flash 55 is going to be able to carry that weight no problem. The other thing with the REI Flash 55 with the 2023 version is that it has an adjustable torso. So you can move the shoulder straps up and down in order to accommodate different torso lengths. And this is great as a beginner backpacker when you're still trying to dial in your gear and you don't really know exactly what you need. The adjustable torso gives you a little bit more leeway with fit, so you can make sure that the pack is fitting you well and carrying weight properly. If you don't have access to an REI, another pack that I recommend is the Decathlon MT900UL. It's another lightweight pack. It has an adjustable torso and a lot of great features, and it's going to be available for most people in most of the world because it comes from Decathlon. For a tent, it's hard to beat the Nature Hike Mongar 2 tent. This is a very affordable tent at $200. It's fairly lightweight, weighing under 4 pounds. It's also quite roomy. You can fit two 25-inch wide sleeping pads in here. So if you're sharing the tent with someone else, you're gonna have enough space that you're not getting in each other's way. And then if you're taking it on a solo trip or you're just gonna be using it by yourself, then it's light enough that it's not gonna be a ton of extra weight to carry, and you're gonna then have a ton of room inside of it. If you want a slightly less expensive tent, a little bit less roomy, a little bit harder to get because you can only get it at REI, the REI TrailMade series is a great series of tents. For my sleep system, we'll start on the bottom. My sleeping pad of choice is the REI Helix. It's a great all-around sleeping pad. It's relatively affordable at $160 for all the sizes. That's compared to a lot of other high-end pads that cost over $200. It's also fairly lightweight. The regular wide version that I have here, so it's 25 inches wide and then 6 feet long, weighs 737 grams. It's also very warm with an R value of 4.9, and I've put that to the test, and it is a warm sleeping pad, good for all 3-season use. And then this dimpled baffle construction makes it really comfortable. Each of these little dimples acts kind of like a spring in a mattress and is really good at relieving pressure points. If over $100 is out of your budget, then take a look at the Pariah Recharge XL sleeping pad. It's under $100 and still a very quality option, just not quite as warm or comfortable as the REI Helix. And I'll have links to all the gear we're talking about in this video at links in the video description, so go check that out. It'll have all the gear listed. In order to keep things dry inside my pack, I use a trash compactor bag. So this is just pretty much a heavy duty garbage bag, and I'll put everything I want to stay dry inside there. I'll just twist up the end and then tuck it down the side, and that's a very effective way to keep your things like your sleeping pad, your sleeping bag, as well as your pillow and clothing dry if it's raining really hard out. For my sleep insulation, I don't really like sleeping bags. I find that as I toss and turn in them, I kind of get all tangled up. As well, they're not super versatile in warm conditions. So I like backpacking quilts. Backpacking quilts are kind of like sleeping bags, and that is that they have an enclosed foot box. So the bottom half is just like a sleeping bag, but then they open up in the top half. And what this allows you to do is that if it's really warm out, you can kind of just drape it over you, stick an arm or a leg out really easily. It also saves a lot of weight because most of your insulation from the ground comes from your sleeping pad, and there's no bottom to the top half of the quilt. So it just attaches to the side of the pad using pad straps. That's how you lock it down, and then you don't have anything between you and the pad. The top half of the quilt is open. So you don't have a bottom to it like you would with a sleeping bag. You sleep directly on the pad, but the pad is what's providing most of your insulation. If you are in a sleeping bag and there's insulation in between you and the mat, that's just getting compressed and isn't very effective. So you save a lot of weight with having that openness at the top of the quilt. A backpacking quilt is pretty much just like a blanket that you'd have at home and allows you to toss and turn in the same way. If you're not sold on quilts, then I do have a sleeping bag recommendation for you. It's the Decathlon MT900. It's a solid down sleeping bag, very lightweight for the price, and then also very warm with a comfort rating of freezing. But I sleep kind of warm. I've taken it down below freezing, down to -4 degrees Celsius, and been plenty warm. And because I'm trying to mimic my sleep system at home as much as possible, I also bring a pillow with me. So I have two different options for pillows. This is the Trekology 2.0 pillow, which is a nice lightweight option, super ergonomic, and then it has a pad strap on it in order to lock it onto the sleeping pad. Then the other option has a pillowcase, so if you want something a little bit more soft, a little bit of insulation to it, then the Hike Ensure pillow is also a great option, again with a pad strap. Both of these pillows only cost $20, so very affordable. For my water bottles, I like to use smart water bottles. I get these flip caps from Garage Growing Gear. They just make it a lot easier to drink water effectively, and the smart water bottles are durable. They last a couple seasons at least, if not 3 seasons, and are nice and lightweight. I also keep my Garmin InReach in the side pocket. It's a satellite communicator SOS device. So if I get into trouble, then I can call for help. It also allows me to stay in touch with loved ones back home. As for the other things that I keep inside the trash compactor bag, we have a comfort item here. So I like to bring camp slippers with me. These are Mountain Equipment Co-op camp slippers. You can also get lighter weight ones made by Mayfly. These are just really nice to be able to take off your shoes and just kind of lounge out in these, especially if you do bring a chair, which we'll talk about in a second here. I also bring a pretty set amount of clothes. No matter what, I kind of always have a down jacket with me. If it's really cold out, then I'll bring the Decathlon MT900. And then if it's a little bit warmer, I'll bring the Decathlon Trek 100. The Trek 100 is an amazing jacket, very lightweight, very affordable at under $100. It's probably one of my favorite pieces of gear of all time, but the MT500 is also a very good option for those slightly colder temperatures. I also bring some fleece socks just to keep my feet a little bit toasty and warm, some merino wool long johns that we have here, and then a merino wool toque and a buff. This is all what I bring for sleeping and lounging around camp. I like having a separate set of sleep clothes just to be a little bit more comfortable and something that's a little bit less stinky. That's everything in the main body of the pack, kind of going opposite than how I normally do these videos. I'll then get into some of the stuff that I keep on the outside. In the brain here, I have my first aid kit, so I always bring a first aid kit. I usually keep some Leuko tape in there, which I'll have a link to in the video description like I mentioned, in case you don't know what that is. But it's essentially a really good tape for blisters. So if you get a blister, pop it, put some Leuko tape on it. Even better, put the Leuko tape on a hot spot before you get a blister. Also have some drugs in there like ibuprofen, as well as some Band-Aids and some antiseptic. For a headlamp, I just got a really cheap one from Decathlon. I think this was like 10 bucks. You don't need anything fancy for a headlamp. You can get ones that are lighter, more expensive, a lot more features, but something basic is gonna do the job. And then I have my ditty bag here as well. In my ditty bag, I keep my toothbrush, I bring some lip chaps, some extra drugs. I have a little thermometer that I use to keep track of temperature. If you're a beginner backpacker, you may not know how your gear is gonna perform in different temperatures. So it's nice to see that overnight it maybe got to a low of freezing, and maybe you were comfortable with your sleep system on your sleeping pad and with your quilt, or maybe you were uncomfortable and a little bit cold, and then you know that you may need a little bit more clothing for next time if it is gonna be getting down to freezing. Something that people may have never seen before is toothpaste tabs. So I think most people are probably familiar with those little travel toothpaste bottles. That's what a lot of backpackers use, but I like toothpaste tabs. Is you just chew up, your saliva kind of mixes in with it, it creates a paste, and then you use that to brush your teeth. It comes in fluorinated and non-fluorinated versions, and it's just nice because you can take exactly how much you need, and you don't need to be dealing with those little tiny travel toothpaste bottles. In the big front pocket here, I have my rain jacket. Most of the time when I'm going backpacking, I'm planning my trip so it's not raining, but if it does rain, you want something that's gonna work. But the Frog Togs are a great option for a rain jacket. They're very affordable and they get the job done. Frog Togs isn't gonna be as breathable as some of the higher end jackets out there, but I think you're overpaying a lot for a lot of rain jackets out there. If you just need something to keep you warm and protected from the rain, then a Frog Togs is gonna do the job, no problem. I also have my water filtration kit in here. So I like the Platypus quick draw system. You get the filter, you get a bag here. You fill the bag with water, then you screw the filter onto it and then squeeze water through the filter into your water bottles. It's a really quick, effective system, and it's a great option for anyone out there. I like the Platypus quick draw because it has caps for both ends. So if it is getting down below freezing, you can just put those caps on, throw it into the bottom of your sleeping bag or your quilt, and you're gonna be toasty warm. Pooping is something that beginner backpackers seem to be a little bit afraid of, but you don't have to be. I have my poop kit here in this really fun poop moji bag. If you have a fun poop moji bag like this, pooping is just gonna be a great time, no matter if you're at home or in the backcountry. Always bring a trowel. If you're camping at a campsite like I'm at now, you'll have an outhouse, so you don't need a trowel. But if you are random camping or you're in an area where you're digging cat holes, the Bogler trowel is a great option. It's lightweight, it has serrated edges in order to cut through roots, and it's just very ergonomic and easy to use. I also bring hand sanitizer, and then you can bring toilet paper if you're into toilet paper, but I'm into a backcountry bidet. I love backcountry bidets. You squirt water into your butt crack, and then with some soap, you give yourself a little butt bath. It's just a great way to get clean down there. And I like to use powdered soap as my soap. It's lightweight and just not as messy as bringing liquid soap with you. You may have noticed this chair, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. This is the Helinox Chair Zero. It's a chair that only weighs a pound, and it's awesome having a chair on a backpacking trip. You can throw on your slippers, take a seat, just lounge back, and all of your friends who are sitting on stumps or rocks are gonna be very jealous. It's not cheap, but it's a good, worthwhile investment. I spent a long time backpacking without a chair, and I regret all those years. I wish I just spent the money right up front to get a nice ultralight chair. And worst comes to worst, if you don't like backpacking, you can always use it when you're going to the cottage or a concert or something like that. If you want to save up, if you're saving up for a chair, then at least bring a little foam sit pad. You can just stick this on whatever rock or stump you're sitting on or a picnic table, and it's gonna keep your butt dry and warm and comfortable. For cooking on trail, I keep my cook kit and all my food in a Hilltop Packs food bag. These are just fun bags. You get anything custom printed on them, which is really neat. Great gifts. If you're looking for a good gift idea for a backpacker, then a Hilltop Packs bag, either a food bag or something else, is really nice. I like to bring freeze-dried meals just because they're easy and tasty. You can dehydrate your own meals, or if you want something that's a little bit more affordable, you can go to the grocery store, pick up some North Side, some instant potatoes, and those are gonna be really good as well. Or some ramen. Ramen's a solid option as well. I always like to have some snacks with me, some Pringles and some Sour Patch Kids. But for what I actually use to cook, it's a pretty straightforward system. I use a Toke 750 milliliter pot. So this is just very lightweight, easy to use pot. And then inside of there, I use a BRS 3000 stove. So this is just a little canister stove. It only costs $20 and is very lightweight, 25 grams. Some people may kind of poo-poo on this stove because it doesn't look super effective or durable, but it's tried and true. Lots of people have put thousands and thousands of miles on these little BRS stoves, and they're amazing. They're the best bang for the buck that you can get while also still being very lightweight. This combined with the Toke's pot weighs just around 100 grams, so it's very lightweight and much lighter than something like a Jetboil. I hear people recommending Jetboils all the time for beginner backpackers, but not only are they very heavy, they're also insanely expensive. This little kit here is gonna cost you under $50, whereas a Jetboil is gonna cost you over $100. And that's just crazy to me. If you do want a Jetboil-like all-in-one system, at least splurge and go for the MSR Windburner. It's just a much more effective, high-tech system compared to the Jetboil, and is my recommendation for an all-in-one. And if you're looking at the BRS stove and the Toke's pot and you're thinking that you want something maybe a little bit more robust, then definitely go check out the Soto Amicus stove combo kit from REI. It costs $55 and is a very solid stove pot combo. Always make sure that you have a lighter in order to start a fire as well as light your stove. And then I like having a titanium spoon. This is a slightly bent pink titanium spoon. I'm surprised that it bent because the pink titanium spoon is probably one of the most durable, best items in this kit. It's not only gonna help you eat food, but it's also gonna help make that food taste better. And then you can use it as a tent stake. You can fight off bears with it. Definitely check out the pink titanium spoon because it's a game changer for backpacking. If you're looking for some comfort gear to round out your kit, go check out this video right up here. I go over all of the comfort gear that I bring when I'm going on trips where I don't really care about weight too much and I just want to have fun and be comfortable. The kit that we talked about here is a very comfortable kit, but the comfort kit gear list takes it to the next level. It's pretty phenomenal, especially the tent that I have there. It's not cheap, but the tent in that kit is a palace and weighs just the same, if not a little bit less than the Mongar 2 here.